Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks. Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try and make your world a little weirder. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Niall. And Kyle, this week, I just swear I had a thought and it just went out of my brain. What the fuck?
Let me rescue you here.
Yeah.
Let me swaddle you like a little baby bird that's fallen from the nest, and let me put you back up in that nest.
Mm-hmm.
And now I will warn you, the mother will catch the stink of my human hands on your baby bird.
Right, so I will be then cast out of the family.
Yeah, but my intentions were good here.
Yeah, much like a lot of, much like someone trying to like shoo something away from some coral, and you accidentally touch it with your human hands. Sometimes you have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Much like when I'm like, I just look. Today's been a long fucking day.
I feel you.
It's.
Well, okay.
I've been doing more customer service stuff at work lately, and some more shit has been popping up, and it's just like having to solve problems all day is just it's taxing on the mind.
Yeah, no, I 100% understand that, and honestly, I want to get back to something that you said right before we started recording tonight.
Oh, okay.
Which was born to be silly, forced to lock in. Which,
quoting a meme I saw on Twitter. Yeah, it's
okay.
Someone was saying it about Okada, and how he always wants to be like a comedy mid-carder, but because he's so good, everyone forced him to be like a main eventer. It's like a bit with him.
Okay,
so
I see that makes sense.
But take it where you will.
I did not know about the meme. Well, I just, I think that describes the work relationship. It's like, fuck, I could just like be a goofy goober all day.
Mm-hmm.
I could get straight up silly with it all day. But I have to sit here and take these fucking customer service calls. I have to fucking spend all this goddamn time with assholes who don't respect me and the fact that I am so fucking whimsical.
Look, I could be doing bits right now.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm trying to track crates across the country. And frankly, it's a misuse of my talents.
I agree. But I think the actual problem with working in a corporate environment is there's just no embracing of whimsy. Like, can you imagine if they were like delivering reports and doing presentations and maybe they, had like a whimsical little, tee-hee laugh at the end. They're trying to show you like the overhead in the first quarter of 2024, and they give you the numbers and they finish it up with a little
yeah. You're not even talking about going so far as to like have a graph where the y-axis isn't shown at first and then you find out the y-axis is fun. Like you're talking like even just like a little bit of interspersing a normal presentation with like a tee-hee.
Yeah. I mean,
and how they try to even run that out of you.
Exactly. Wouldn't work be so much more tolerable if your coworkers were giving you a little giggle?
I will say my coworkers, because I think a couple of them have listened to and may still listen at times to this podcast.
Shouts
Y'all
out.
are funny. Work's just stressful. It is. Yeah. So don't give me shit for it. You would say the same thing.
Well, you were like, you're in a very different environment than what I'm used to as far as like corporate. I mean, we have a gigantic team of engineers, like well over 100. So it's like, and that's just like one team that I interact with. So it's like there's hundreds of people. Like, so I
You would
guess
be
for me, it's like it's a little different. But you have a little bit more of a personal.
Do you think? Okay, how do you think if you were to put a team of 100 engineers on one side of a TF2 round, would they do well?
I think that would be impossible for the enemy team to take them. I mean, is the enemy team also?
It would be 100, but it can be 100 people. Like the teams
But it
would
can be any
even,
class.
but it can be any class.
Okay.
Like is 100 engineers a good specking of a TF2 round?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think it does depend on the map, but like you got 100 turrets facing you down, you know, what the fuck are you gonna do? The enemy team's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna send 100 spies over, right? And but the 100 enemy engineers, they're just, you know, they got answers to that too. So it's like, I don't know. I begin to feel like maybe it's a little bit of a rock paper scissors sort of moment that I personally can't solve because I haven't played Team Fortress 2 in probably 15 years now.
Here's a fucking free idea for whoever has Gary's mod in TF2 and shit and wants to do it.
Yeah.
You know those videos where it's like, would one T-Rex be able to beat 100 Pomeranians, and they like do a simulation?
Yes. Yeah.
Do that, but with like video game, like TF2 assets, and you make like wild ass matchups and model them out and see how it works out.
I will say, because I am a big dork and I do watch YouTube videos about Elden Ring lore and Elden Ring builds and things like that. And
excited to see how this ties into TF2.
You will. Don't worry. Well, I'm tying into what you just said. And Elden Ring's like the flavor right now, right? Like when this episode comes out, like Elden Ring's new DLC is out. I'll be playing it live, etc. But there's
Kyle, Metallica's in Fortnite right now. What are you talking about?
Hang on. What are we doing here?
I know.
We should be going to play Metallica.
Thrash Mountain. Sliding down Thrash Mountain.
My favorite thrash metal band, Metallica. No, what I was getting at is I get recommended these YouTube videos where people will be like, basically somebody will take bosses in Elden Ring and then pit them against like a wave of like normal enemies. So it'll be like, have you seen the little jar guys in Elden Ring? They're the cute little jar enemies.
I don't know. I don't think so.
They're literally like little jar guys with arms and legs, and they run at you and they swing at you and they fight you. And somebody pitted like 100 of those against Millennia, who's like notoriously the hardest boss ever produced for a FromSoft game. I mean, that's up for debate, but so point is there is somebody doing that for Elden Ring, and we just have to extrapolate. I honestly would be surprised if TF2 didn't have this. If there wasn't a creator out there making something like that. Imagine
like one massive heavy versus like 10 fucking engineers.
That'd be awesome.
Work? I don't know.
Maybe potentially. There's also the skill thing. Like, you know, there's skill expression in some of those characters, especially with certain hats. Now, what I want you to picture, Niall, is
turning on a podcast in 2024 and it opens with like a detailed discussion of TF2.
Look, we're just old. I want you to picture that everything that you just described with the Team Fortress 2 characters, but imagine if they reskinned to be, let's say, 100 Zeta Reticulan Greys and 100 Ascended Light Beings, and they're fucking duking it out, and how cool that would be. Think about that.
Get it. What fucking software do I need to get to run this, to run that simulation shit, and we can try to
make it happen. We can make it happen. Now, before we get into the episode proper, I mean, I know this was like a preamble,
a preamble to the preamble.
Yeah, I
episode
do
starts in 40 minutes.
We got a very interesting email that I wanted to read, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So we got an email from Brad, and this email blew my mind. It says, "Hey guys, dinosaur scientist writing in again. I'm a Brad though, not a Jacob, but maybe a not Jacob. I'm currently out on a dinosaur dig in the Badlands of Montana and just listened to your Kasai Rex episode earlier today. And this is the part that blew my mind. We actually played it over some speakers for everyone at the dig site while we were working on a bone bed. So I just want you to picture...
listening to us...
they're fucking dusting off dinosaur bones that are incredible historical pieces of, or I guess pieces of prehistory, and it's just us like fart, ass, cum.
Mike Lou and Og. Like, yeah, it's fucking.
So I love that image. And Brad goes on to say, to answer some of your questions from the episode, Tyrannosaurus rex is still a valid genus and species. It's one that we actually know quite a bit about due to the number of specimens we've discovered and how many people are interested in studying it. There was a second species named recently, though, which is Tyrannosaurus micranensis. This doesn't invalidate T-Rex. It's just a different species within the same genus.
That might be what I saw that made me...
Maybe. Because, we were talking about this on the Kasai Rex episode, if people don't know. Some groups do get invalidated due to new studies and information, often because the young animals can look remarkably different from the adults. This did actually happen with T-Rex at one point when a juvenile T-Rex was mistakenly considered its own species for some time. Dinosaur growth patterns are weird. It goes on, there are indeed American crocodiles. They are just much rarer and have a smaller range than American alligators. Okay, so that explains my question there, too. I was wondering about that.
Gotta love when one person can just, like, knock out all the questions.
No, this is awesome. You are correct about there being no African Tyrannosaurus, just other theropod groups. If the Kasai Rex wasn't a blatant hoax, and there was even a chance that non-avian dinosaurs survived into the modern day, they didn't, a Spinosaurid might have been a good contender given their size and the possibility that they may have had some semi-aquatic behaviors. The Kasai Rex allegedly swims and lives in a swamp after all. I didn't think about that because I don't think T-Rex is known for, swimming around in swamps as much as far as I understand it.
I'm pretty sure when you see a T-Rex getting into a swamp, it's usually about to get stuck in quicksand and fossilized in most movies.
I think when you see a T-Rex, you're supposed to turn 360 degrees and run away. Mm-hmm.
Or bringing it back, shit your pants and die.
Shit your pants and die. And then the final note here says, we're all in agreement that big game hunters should be gored to death as soon as possible, which, I did endorse that particular statement. But they finish up saying, everyone loved the show and had a lot of laughs. Keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll find an excuse to write in again sometime. For fun, I've included some images of the dig and some of our finds. Also as a potential big question. Ooh, another cryptid one.
We'll bank that.
We'll bank that one. I like that's a good one. And they did send pictures of the dig, which is fucking crazy. It did just have dinosaur bones in these images. I don't know whether I want to just blast out these images that Brad sent to us, but Niall and I have seen them and it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's sick as shit.
So thank you so much, Brad. Thank you. That was awesome. And honestly, I just want to say Brad is the emblematic Brad introducing an entire dig site to the podcast. I mean, we asked for, people to talk to their congressman.
The only way this could get better is if Brad had a congressman visiting the dig site that
for
day,
real. For real. That would be fucking nuts. That's the only way that's any better. So yeah, thank you very much for the email. Niall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, Niall.
Mm-hmm.
This week, first of all, you notice I'm sitting in an armchair.
Yeah, you've got kind of a grandma chair because it's got a very loose woven throw thrown over the back of it.
My girlfriend made this blanket for me. Thank you very much. And
it's a very nice blanket.
It's
grandma
very
throw is
comfy.
a compliment.
Of course. She would appreciate that. And I had to get comfortable for this series of episodes because it's a lot, Niall. And I couldn't sit in a stupid ass office chair for this. I needed to get my ass in something that would I used the word swaddle at the start of the episode. Gonna use it again here. I needed my ass swaddled for this one.
Okay.
This week, I had been wondering lately, Niall, and I don't know if you've had many thoughts about this. Probably said it on the podcast at some point. I've been thinking about what post-disclosure looks like for different brands of conspiracy theorist.
Okay, so like once everyone is aware that aliens are real and have contacted Earth, yada yada yada, what is this stuff going to look like?
Yeah, and like, this is all, of course, assuming that you buy any of the bullshit that has come out in the last couple years, with these so-called whistleblowers talking about UFOs and I don't think they call them EBINs, the extraterrestrial biological entity, but it's something like that. Yeah. EBINs is like it's from, what was EBIN? It doesn't matter. They're calling it's like biological, non-human biologics or something is what they're calling it now.
Yeah, I forget what the acronym.
People are out there going, we have basically confirmed the government cover-up of UFOs and alien contact is like what's in the air, right?
Yeah.
For people who believe in it. So I got to thinking about like, well, what does the fringe Christian UFO world look like?
Okay, so specifically Christian UFO world.
Yeah, well, okay, so I didn't set out to find out what the Christian conspiracy theorists with UFOs were talking about, but that's what it ended up being a lot of the time.
Look, that's near and dear to my heart because the number of times I've set out to do a different topic and ended up talking about Christian conspiracy theorists is like I probably could fill a hand at least.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking, my mind was in places like Project Bluebeam and like conspiracies about the Vatican, stuff we've talked about on the show before. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, what are these people like in the 2020s now that the likes of David Grusch, if that's how you pronounce his name, and Lou Elizondo,
that fucking dried up husk in Mexico that they tried to say was an alien.
Yeah, which I really like the logic that I saw somebody saying of like, that has to be an alien because it's so unbelievably fake looking that it has to be real. That really was, why did we like move on from that? Like, why didn't anybody just go like, hold the fuck up? Did Mexico just try and convince us that they have an alien body and just present the like the fakest looking shit in the world? What was that about? That was Mexico, right?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was. I think something else must have happened in the world that everyone was like, oh, okay, we'll move on. Like, yeah, Trump probably said some bullshit and everyone like moved on.
Yeah. We should re-examine that, but yeah, I'm just wondering
see where that is now, if it's dried up into a paste or something and it's gone in the wind. It looked like a fucking paper mache.
Yeah.
Thing.
I'm just wondering how certain conspiracy circles are faring now that these whistleblowers have come out and reignited. And I say reignited because this has sort of happened on a smaller scale before. This disclosure movement. And this whole extraterrestrial correspondence with world governments idea. For those of you who are like, Kyle, what the fuck are you saying right now? One, I envy you. Really, I kind of do, because this current wave of disclosure is like by far some of the stupidest, most boring shit in UFO history.
Yeah.
But for those of you who aren't entrenched in this sort of batshit world of UFO conspiracy, this particular brand, here's the short version. A couple of former intelligent officials in the U.S. have, in the last, 2 years, have spoken out about the existence of UFOs, government contact with extraterrestrials, and the massive cover-ups surrounding those events. And for some reason, people believe them.
It was because there was a Senate hearing. They had that like congressional hearing thing, which because it was in front of Congress, people assumed that makes it legitimate.
Like the people who are doing this like so-called whistleblowing are former intelligence officials. Which if you are aware of the history of UFOs especially in the United States, that should raise an eyebrow. Now, there is a pretty weird crossover between UFO conspiracy and fringe Christianity that is deeply concerned with what this all means for their relationship to the Lord and Savior Christ and the proverbial end times.
Yeah, this has been like the boogeyman of disclosure. There are government documents that worry about the reaction of Christianity to aliens being real. Like, that is an actual like noted phenomena in the world.
Yeah,
it's
that is some of the stuff we're going to get into, Niall.
Hell yeah.
And, you know, because I occasionally will have to bring up some stuff relating to the Bible, I'm hoping that we can sort of tag team those spots if you feel like you have an insight. I mostly am figuring out what these people are talking about, but, like, I'd be curious when we get to some of the Bible parts if you remember anything, you know, growing up.
We shall see.
We'll see.
It comes and it goes. It's been many years, but I still have a fascination.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Sure.
Because this is like a thing that I know, and I'm pretty sure I know. But you grew up Baptist, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, technically American Baptist is the sub kind of the subheading. Which basically just means that it takes place in the north instead of the south and has slightly more lax
and
structure.
The Baptist thing is the dunking in the water, right?
Largely, yes. That's the main semantic difference. There are other slight differences, like how communion is given and stuff like that between between the different denominations. But largely, in terms of the naming conventions, yeah, it's the dunking of baptism. Okay,
cool. So now that we're caught up on Baptists and the UFO conspiracy as it stands right now, we could I've thought about whether I even want to do a David Grusch episode, and I think it's like I think it just sucks. It's so lame.
It almost feels like we're too close to it to do like a really like.
Yeah,
I almost feel like we need a couple years removed for all this whatever bullshit to come out of who's paying him. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe in a couple years we can get on that one. But like, people probably are at least passingly familiar with it. But now we're caught up on all that stuff. Let's talk
I'm curious
about.
Why does the Baptist have anything to do with the stuff we're talking about today?
I think so.
Okay,
and we'll get to that here momentarily. Let's talk about what this particular brand of conspiracy theorists seem to be calling the alien mass deception.
Okay.
Now, while this brand of conspiracy seems to take on a lot of different forms, as you're well aware, Niall, I specifically found a lengthy series of articles on a Christian nutjob website called skywatchtv.com.
Yep. I've been there.
Yeah. So I was looking at this website for a lot of my information. And I kind of started to wonder who the people behind it are. So on their about page, we've got a little blurb on each person involved. So we have, quote unquote, I put in quotations, doctor, because I have some doubts. But there's Dr. Thomas Horn. It says here, longtime television and radio personality, author of dozens of best-selling books and publisher of many others, Thomas Horn serves as the chief executive officer of Skywatch TV. At the dawn of the internet, Horn launched 2 news services where coverage of latest breaking news and information on cutting-edge stories covering religion, prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural through in-depth investigative reports led to his network of writers being referenced and interviewed by the biggest names in broadcasting, including LA Times, Syndicate, ABC. There's a whole list of fucking bullshit.
Yeah, sure.
And then it ends, it's like a bunch of very official things. And then we've got Sid Roth's It's Supernatural. And the ones that I took note of were The Jim Baker Show.
Okay. Yep.
So The Harvest Show, Faith TV, Newsmax.com, The 700 Club, and Coast to Coast AM. And it says Skywatch TV is the consummation and new mothership of Tom's several subsidiaries, including Defender Films and Defender Publishing. Haven't looked into those yet. But then we've got Derek P. Gilbert. And it says Derek Gilbert's broadcasting career dates back to 1980 in Galesburg, Illinois, and includes stops in Peoria, Little Rock, St. Louis, Philadelphia, and suburban Chicago. With the advent of the internet, he began producing and hosting the web radio programs A View from the Bunker and PID Radio, which he co-hosts with his wife, author, and analyst Sharon Gilbert, also a member of the Skywatch TV team. There's a whole show that they do that's like about technology through a Christian lens, which is very funny to me conceptually. But what's notable about this guy is that he writes a lot about end times prophecy.
Okay.
It says here, oh man, some of these I've heard of some of this stuff, and I had also heard of A View from the Bunker. Because I've probably seen it on similar sites or something, but yeah, it lists a couple of the things that he's written, but I think the notable titles are The Great Inception, Satan's Psyops from Eden to Armageddon, which is great. Satan's doing
Fantastic.
psyops. One that, oh God, Bad Moon Rising, Islam, Armageddon, and the most diabolical double cross in history.
Jesus Christ.
So he is just immersed in fringe Christian end times horse shit. And then the smallest blurb goes to the only woman on the team, Donna Howell. She is the managing editor of Defender Publishing, ghostwriter, and Tom Horn's personal assistant. As former managing editor and later CEO of Anomalous Publishing, Donna brings a long list of qualifications to her web, blah, blah, blah. Now, what's notable here is that she had a publication on this website called The Handmaiden's Conspiracy.
Okay.
Which I am like, I saw on the website and I like clicked through and I'm like concerned. Let's put it that way. Now, here's the thing. This series of articles that I read and tried to distill is only credited to Skywatch editor. It does not give an actual like author.
Yeah, because you said in there in her description, part of it was ghostwriter.
Yeah, that's what it says. Ghostwriter, Tom Horn's personal assistant, editor.
Does she just write like a lot of the stuff on the website and just not get credit for it?
I don't know. There are a lot of articles that are just attributed generically to Skywatch editor.
Okay.
Some of it to me almost read like maybe there were multiple people writing because like, okay, I don't want to like freak you out, but these are like long articles that take, I don't know how long it takes them to read, but it's like a couple pages worth of like a book.
Yeah.
And there are 30 some articles.
Damn.
So I get the impression that there's multiple people writing these things, but I don't know that for sure. That's my guess. That's pure conjecture. Can't say for sure. Now in the about section, they also had a list of tenets that they follow. And that would be things like, quote, the Bible is the literal, divinely inspired and complete word of God. And, quote, God, through the ministry of the Holy Spirit, is active in the world today, convicting and regenerating man to the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ. And that the second coming of Christ is imminent. That is very important, of course. You know.
Yeah, it's got to be coming up real soon.
It's finally coming up. But this is why I asked about the Baptist thing is because also on their like tenets that they follow for the website, it says that they believe the water baptism and Lord's Supper ordinances must be observed. Which I don't know what the Lord's Supper is.
I'm guessing that's communion.
I kind of thought it might be communion, or maybe they were like, let's see if we can replicate Jesus's last meal, and maybe we could get like binging with Babish to like make a Jesus burger or something.
Yeah. We'll see if we can. If you take the ingredients of Jesus's last meal and turn it into an award-winning culinary creation.
But I think it is a communion thing. I think.
Yeah, I'm guessing it has that basically just. It seems like they're trying to gussy up, saying you should get baptized and take communion, which are just like tenets of Christianity.
Sure.
Like, not
well, not all sects of Christianity, Niall, is the important thing.
fair.
So what I would like to preface all of this by saying that a lot of this to me feels like the Baptist Christian conspiracy theorists have got some beef with the Catholics.
Yeah, look, they don't always get along, them Protestants and them Catholics.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a conspiracy website with a heavy Christianity base. Like it's Christian theology, and I believe it's baptismal. I think is the word. And yeah, this is important because the conspiracy that they're touting seems to be very concerned with Catholicism, the Pope, and the Vatican. And specifically, what they seem to have a problem with is how Catholicism is treating alien visitation to Earth that is either on its way or has maybe already happened. Probably already happened, but
Okay.
what's confusing about that particular messaging in this series of articles is like they will talk about prior alien contact, right? With various institutions, various governments, but then they will also like hint that there is like something coming.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like a different kind of alien. Maybe I haven't gotten quite there yet. It's a whole thing, but so alien visitation is the contentious topic with the Catholics for these people, which is interesting because I didn't know that there was a pretty significant amount of Catholic discussion about aliens.
Yeah. They seem more open to talking about it than Protestants in general.
It's interesting.
There's more lore.
Yeah, I don't I don't know enough about Catholicism to like speculate on what it is in that sect that like allows for like it feels like it maybe allows for more room to talk about something like that. But like a big part of this story involves the fact that there are like Vatican sanctioned astronomers and scientists. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But that's a whole
it's
thing.
because like the Catholic Church ended up being like a political entity for like a long time back.
Okay, fair.
When they were like ruling over Greece and everything. So they were patrons of the arts in the all over Europe in that era when the church was like the leading dominant force across Europe. And then Protestantism came out of a rejection of that church and split off from there with Martin Luther to a more basic, back to basics. Like, we don't want all the ornate, weird shit you're doing. We just want to do the preaching and the believing.
Yeah.
And and Protestantism split off that way.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Have you seen this thing about the Pope where I guess he like in some sort of I don't know if it was like does the Pope give speeches or does he
he addresses the public.
He addresses the public. I don't know if this was in a public address or what, but at some public space the Pope like used like an offensive homophobic slur.
Yes.
Did you see this? And then people are like articles are coming out with people going like, we don't know if like he's aware of what that word means. And then he like a couple weeks later just did it again. And people are like, okay, so jury's still out.
We got a slur Pope.
This is the slur Pope, aka the slope. So he's been like fucking dropping like F-bombs, I guess, in Italian or whatever. I really don't know what's going on over there. It's no, go ahead.
Look, this is not a very similar thing happened with the Great Muda when talking about Shinsuke Nakamura. He said something that translates to basically calling Shinsuke like kind of fruity effectively.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was like, is that a weird mistranslation or is he just like kind of being Is he being like homophobic in a weird way? And no one, and like, I don't know if we ever got a real answer for it because it was said after his retirement match. So he just like, no one's addressed it.
Well, let's see if we can get the Great Muda and the Pope in the ring, and we can
and duke it out.
We can decidedly determine which one of them was using the slur in an inappropriate way.
Well, here's the thing. We put on that fight and all the proceeds go to LGBTQ plus charities.
There you go.
And then that evens the score,
exactly.
you know?
But like we exactly. But what I'm saying is whoever wins that fight is exempt. No, is exempt from.
Oh yeah. Okay.
From responsibility, and the loser goes, yeah, okay, I was being homophobic. I'm sorry. And then we have to publicly shame them. So
yeah.
I don't. But anyways, I don't. That was just like the only thing I've heard about the Pope in the last year or whatever. So that was a weird story, man. God, where the fuck was I? Oh, I did want to read how this article starts, like verbatim off the top, because it gives you. I'll just read it and you'll understand. Here's what it says right off the bat. It says, quote, "You might have saw where UFO whistleblower and U.S. Air Force veteran and former intelligence official David Grusch claimed in recent congressional testimony that the Vatican is covering up proof of aliens." Niall, you might have saw where.
I might have saw where.
This is where I started to think, eventually I started to think if this was a collaborative effort, because you have these brilliant sentences like "you might have saw where," but no joke, in a later like part, they're straight up accusing verbatim Vatican scientists of postmodern reductionism. So okay. I'm like, there's no way this was like, this has to be multiple people, the way that people are talking in these articles.
One quick question.
Yeah.
Just because this is a thing that I've been coming up against lately.
Yeah.
When was this article written?
2023.
Okay. Are you under the impression in any way, shape, or form that this was in part AI generated?
I was wondering that. I was honestly wondering that.
I have found, you know, the thing that we used to talk about a couple of years ago about how the same text would be copy and pasted onto a bunch of sites all over the place. Now you get that, but it's slightly different and less comprehensible because people are running it through ChatGPT first.
Yep.
And it comes out like just different enough that it makes no fucking sense and sounds kind of like humanity, but not really.
Yes.
And I've had to like, I've literally started doing the thing that I saw. I forget where I saw this, but someone on Twitter was like, limit your search results to before 2022 and all that shit will go away. And I started doing that and it helped so much.
You can definitely filter. I mean, I can't say for certain with this article. I think if it is in any part AI generated, it's not all of it.
Yeah.
But there might be filler that's AI generated. No joke. Because at a certain point, so like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but like at a certain point, the writers of this article or writer or whoever's behind this talks about how the Skywatch team back in 2012 got to go visit an observatory in Arizona. We'll get to that. But there is this fucking rambling multi-paragraphed horse shit in the article. Almost as if they're trying to pad it for some reason.
Yeah, it's all but saying lorem ipsum, yada 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 yada.
It's like they're trying to, it's basically just like a long rambling piece of bullshit about their journey up a mountain, and like they're in a car and it's rocky and they take Dramamine, and I'm like, why are we talking about this? Why is this in here? And that was when I was thinking to myself, did they create these interstitial paragraphs with AI or something? Like, write me a story about traversing a rocky mountain to this location or whatever, and our crew's trials and tribulations with motion sickness. Like, I don't know, but it is genuinely like they're trying to pad the articles that are a 36 or something part series. So it's like, what are we doing here? I don't really know, honestly.
Yeah,
it's baffling.
I could totally see it being a multiple writer situation, and one person is just like thought that they were trying to be like motivational or some shit. but I also could see them doing exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And like they write up the important bits and then generate filler between, and you end up with this weird, like kind of mixed.
It doesn't
type
sound
weird
like
knot
one.
thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like one person wrote it, and it varies in like quality of like words, you know, like it's very strange. Actually, it's funny because before I got onto this particular series of articles, I was looking up a very specific guy who was a like Christian pastor type guy who preaches about end times and aliens. And I went to his website, which the first thing I realized is like, this is like boilerplate WordPress. I immediately like noticed it. And I scrolled down and his like main landing page area straight up had a paragraph that said something along the lines of lorem ipsum, you can edit this text and put whatever you want. And I was losing my fucking mind because like I was like, that's really funny, but like I'd love to get like information on this guy because he's hard to track down. But anyways,
the number of times in trying to look up someone's weird website that I've still found filler text buried in those pages is is way more than you would think.
Honestly like weirdly charming to me when I see that shit. It's like,
well, you know that they have a template and they just never got around to filling out, like it's being made by one person and
they're like 45
they forgot
years
to fill
old
that part out.
And they don't like really quite get what they're doing, but they like know enough to like make it exist, but not enough to like remember to. Yeah, exactly. It's so I don't know. Honestly, though, as I go through this, I'll think more about the AI thing because it's entirely possible. So, so in an interview with Ross Coulthard, David Grusch claimed that the Vatican has long been involved in the big UFO cover-up. He said that the Mussolini government of Italy in 1933, so predating Roswell and Kenneth Arnold, had recovered a fallen UFO, which they had, quote, moved to a secure airbase in Italy for the rest of the fascist regime until 1944 to 1945. Furthermore, he claims that Pope Pius XII, quote, back-channeled that information to the U.S. and that the Vatican, quote, told the Americans what the Italians had and we ended up scooping it. So this is all that this series of articles hinges on, is that basically it's like they're saying that like long before we even knew about Roswell, the Italian government, who by the way was a fascist government at the time, not only had a downed UFO, but like you could basically say collaborated with the US through some sort of secret means, and we ended up with the UFO that they had. So that's weird to say.
Yeah, so
especially coming from this David Grusch guy. So yeah, the Vatican's collaborating with the US on the cover up.
Interesting. Okay, so before we got the downed UFO, or did we not get the UFO at Roswell because we already had this one?
I haven't. I think this has only been. I'm going to be real with you. I only read Grush's comments about this particular incident because it pertains to this subject. I'm a little like, I haven't looked into what this dude said too much because I think it is stupid. But like,
fair,
but I mean, like I said, like maybe eventually we'll have to find a way to talk about this guy. Cause like, it can't be denied that it's like been it's been the 2020s shakeup of UFOs in the United States mostly. I think it's oh god.
It would be interesting to go into a new era of UFO bullshit. Like I don't know what that next era will be.
The thing is, everything like prior to the 2000s in UFOs is so much more interesting. Like it just doesn't compare. And it's like so much of the new wave with these like whistleblowers and people who are, it's just like, it feels like a fucking rehashing of shit we've done before, but like even less interesting, So Coulthard asks Grusch if he's saying that the Vatican knows about the existence of extraterrestrial life, to which Grusch replies, quote, certainly.
Yeah.
As a side note, I just would like to mention that Coulthard is an author, journalist, and UFO true believer. He's written a book on it, I believe, and he does seem to be very into the whole government cover-up angle, and got kind of like, lambasted for his sort of prior belief that the Vatican collaborated to cover up the existence of aliens. Like, he's
so this is like a thing for him.
It seems that way, yeah. And he's interviewing the guy who's telling him everything that he wants to hear. So yeah. So anyways, this alien deception conspiracy which is what I'm going to call it, what they've been calling it. It's very much in the same corner here. So outside of Grusch's testimony, the first major fixation in this conspiracy revolves around a telescope called the hang on a second. The Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. That's its name.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, hilariously, this telescope was at one point nicknamed Lucifer. Because they needed
I bet that gets brought up a lot.
Yeah, they needed to shorten that ridiculously long name. Or rather, I should be more specific here, because I don't want to be as bad as these people. Lucifer was the nickname of the near infrared instrument on a telescope. So, like, it was a specific part of a telescope that they called Lucifer.
Oh, and because it's infrared, it's red, and that's Satan. Yeah, okay.
Well,
okay.
And it's like when you look at its full name, you can kind of, but it doesn't really track. But point is, they shortened this ridiculously long name, and it's this instrument on a telescope called the Large Binocular Telescope. Now, I didn't look too deep into this, but like, basically what happened with the nicknaming of it as Lucifer was, like, I want to say in the 2000s when this was developed, and it was like at the Max Planck Institute in Germany by like a handful of German engineers who developed this thing, and they nicknamed it Lucifer, and they like came out and said, like, it kind of doesn't have quite the like connotation to call it that over here as it does in the United States. And we just thought it was cool. But then, of course, this is an instrument that ended up in the United States where Lucifer has...
People are
unhinged and glom onto that. And to be extra clear, they stopped calling it Lucifer like over a decade ago. It's just called Lucy. L-U-C-I.
Okay.
Lucy. So, yeah, of course... You gotta, you hand this over to the conspiracy theorists, and you can get a pretty good guess at the direction we're heading. I'd actually learned something like, I already mentioned this, but like, yeah, the Vatican has an officially sanctioned observatory that is supported by the Holy See. Had no idea about this. And while the observatory itself has its headquarters in Italy, it actually operates a telescope at the Mount Graham International Observatory, which is located in the southeastern Arizona Pinaleno mountain range.
I did not know that part. Okay.
Yeah. So Mount Graham International Observatory is a research arm for the astronomy department of the University of Arizona. And there at Mount Graham is the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, aka VAT. And VAT is operated by Vatican astronomers and scientists. So the distinction that I would like to draw here is that the Mount Graham Observatory also happens to be where the formerly nicknamed Lucifer instrument was being used in the Large Binocular Telescope. And so I think it's important to note here that while it doesn't actually matter that a couple German engineers decided to nickname their near-infrared instrument Lucifer, it also is being used by a telescope completely unrelated to the Vatican Observatory.
Yeah, so there's no actual direct connection between the Vatican and the instrument known as Lucifer.
No, but nonetheless, online rags like Skywatch and apparently a bunch of Facebook posts back a couple years ago were rapidly spreading deliberate misinformation that the Vatican straight up owned and operated a telescope called Lucifer, which even if they did, what the fuck does it matter? But
yeah,
that's what was going around.
I'll lean back on my fucking mission to Mars nonsense and say that the ritualistic significance,
Yeah,
it's
true.
important.
Exactly.
This matters.
I forgot about that whole aspect. But I mean, like, that's why they do the fucking CERN rituals and stuff, It's like,
yeah.
And they probably Large Hadron Collider, Large Hardon, Sex is a Sin. You can see
Collider, fucking,
exactly. Cheers to that. I raised a glass to Niall for the people.
I raised a can of passion fruit seltzer.
Oh, delicious. So,
Shit.
yeah, this deliberate misinformation is especially stupid in the context of the Skywatch articles because the author recounts how back in 2012, I mentioned this before, they actually got to go pay a visit to the Mount Graham Observatory and talk with the folks who work there, including a guy named Brother Guy Consolmagno. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Brother Guy Consolmagno, who is currently the director of the Vatican Observatory and has been since, I want to say, 2014. And when I Googled around for info about the Vatican owning a telescope called Lucifer, I basically got a bunch of redirects to pages that were just fact-checking websites all saying, like, no, this didn't actually happen. And it was, like, pointing out, like I said, Facebook posts where people were, like, sharing that. Just people straight up saying that, like, the Vatican is operating Lucifer.
And I'm sure there's also TikToks on there that someone in a voiceover going, the Vatican has a telescope named Lucifer in Arizona. Yeah. Like, that shit has spread onto TikTok so hard from YouTube. It's ridiculous.
TikTok is a fucking nightmare place.
It can be cool, but it also can be a nightmare.
It's pretty like, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but like the moment it got a whiff that I was interested in seeing conspiracy related content, I was served with the most fucking worst, most dead brain horse shit I've ever seen. And it would be things that had like millions of views. And I'm like, that is not great.
Yeah. The thing that I got served the most that I thought was funny was live feeds. Once they introduced that,
oh god, yeah.
Of people that basically would have a sign that was basically "the Earth is flat, debate me," and they would just be like in there trying to get people to debate them. That was the worst shit I've ever seen, and I hated it so much.
It's just so disappointing.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, actually, sorry, that just very suddenly reminded me. My aunt, I spoke with my aunt recently, and she was like telling me this story about how she was sat next to, I want to say, an architect and some sort of like former military personnel on an airplane like a little while back. And she told me that they had gotten to a discussion, the three of them, about 9/11, and that the architect was insisting the sort of jet fuel can't melt steel beams, the building can't collapse in that way, et cetera, stuff like that, and gave my aunt a CD that's her like personal, like, I don't know what you would describe it. I think it's like her personal like DVD that she burned, or whatever the term is, of her 9/11 theories. And
oh my God.
What she told me is that the military personnel guy that was seated with them was like listening to this conversation and agreeing with the 9/11 conspiracy person, and supporting what they were saying, which is very funny. And my aunt told me. Sorry, this is almost apropos of nothing, but I want to bring it up. My aunt was like,
Yeah.
Kyle, I will send you her DVD.
Please do.
I will send that to you, and I'll see what's on that thing, and we can talk about it. But I just remembered that this happened, so that'll be kind of interesting.
I occasionally will get an email from a family member with like, whenever like a cryptid article appears in their local paper or whatever, they send that shit to me, which is endearing. I enjoy it. I it's great. But I am dreading the day when I get something like that where someone like brings something to me that way, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we actually have not family, but we have an email sitting in our inbox that is from a person saying, let me come onto your show to talk to you about the Vatican UFO cover-up. So we actually have somebody who is like this exact topic. I like when I was looking at our emails, I was like, that's very timely, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyways. So getting back to the stuff. With their contact with Consul Magno, they have an interesting part of the article. It says this, quote, over the last few years, Consul Magno has focused so much time and effort in an attempt to reconcile science and religion in public forums, specifically as it relates to the subject of extraterrestrial life and its potential impact on the future of faith, that we decided to contact him. He agreed to be interviewed via the internet from Rome. However, it seemed once he knew who we were and what we wanted to examine, he kept his answers short, if not altogether evasive. So I feel like they're like, yeah, so we're Baptists who want to know about your UFO conspiracy, and he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you as much, So it goes on. On the upside, he was gracious enough to send me a copy of his private PDF file for a booklet that he authored entitled Intelligent Life in the Universe, Catholic Belief. Sorry, what?
He sent me a private copy, or a copy of his private PDF. Yeah. Is just, well, that's a sentence.
What's really good about that, it's a booklet called Intelligent Life in the Universe, Catholic Belief and the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligent Life. And the article says, which had been published by the publisher, which had been pulled by the publisher shortly after it was authorized by Rome in 2005, and is no longer available anywhere except directly from me. And when I read that, I went and I looked it up, and it was the second link in Google, and I downloaded it. So
yeah, I was going to say that it's definitely not directly only through him.
And they say that it is a goldmine of what he and the Vatican are considering regarding the ramifications of astrobiology and specifically the discovery of advanced extraterrestrials. This is perhaps the reason it was pulled. In it, he admits how contemporary societies will look to the aliens to be the saviors of humankind. So here they pull like an actual straight up quote from this Consul Magno guy that says this, quote, other heavenly beings come up several times in the Psalms. For example, look at the beautiful passage in Psalm 89 that calls out, let the heavens praise your wonders, O Lord, your faithfulness in the assembly of the holy ones. For who in the skies can be compared to the Lord? Who among the heavenly beings is like the Lord? The heavens are yours, the earth also is yours. The world and all that is in it, you have founded them. Likewise, God asks Job if any human can claim to have been around at the creation, quote, when the morning stars sang together and all the heavenly beings shouted for joy. Are these heavens, holy ones, those in the sky, the morning stars, and heavenly beings more references to angels? Or do they refer to some other kind of life beyond our knowledge? And these are not the only non-human intelligent creatures mentioned in the Bible. There's that odd and mysterious passage at the beginning of Genesis chapter 6 that describes the sons of God taking human wives. With it is a frustratingly oblique reference to the Nephilim, the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. Most biblical scholars suggest that the Nephilim and the sons of God in Genesis can be explained away as a leftover reference to the creation stories of the pagans who surrounded ancient Israel, that they were written by the kind of people whose culture saw anyone not of my tribe as being unspeakably alien. Likewise, the references to heavens and stars singing and praising the Lord can be seen simply for the beautiful poetry that it is. But whether you interpret these creatures as angels or aliens doesn't really matter for the sake of our argument here. The point is that the ancient writers of the Bible, like all ancient peoples, were perfectly happy with the possibility that other intelligent beings could exist. So
interesting.
This guy.
What's funny is I for a bonus show I've been reading a Zechariah Sitchin book that interprets a lot of the Bible stuff, but does it in a very different direction.
Oh, sure.
It's interpreting stuff about the Nephilim to being actual fucking aliens that are seeding the earth and all that kind of shit.
Well,
so that's where all that comes in. But like, it's yeah.
Well, no, sorry, I don't. Sorry, I'm not trying to. That is so. What this guy, this actual like Vatican scientist guy, he just seems to be trying to come up with a way to reconcile the existence of alien life. Like that is an open possibility. When I was looking through the pamphlet, he straight up front is just like, look, I'm into science fiction. I have this like hunch, this belief that there's other life in the universe, but also I could very much be wrong. And so a lot of the pamphlet really does seem to be just like asking like theoretical questions about other types of life, intelligent life specifically.
So it's not quite as far-reaching. It's more just like, I can't say for sure there's nothing else out there kind of feeling.
It's a lot of just like broad speculation about science fiction concepts and alien life through the lens of like Catholicism, really is what it is. But
okay,
here's the thing, Niall. The Nephilim being aliens seeding the planet Earth, that's the shit the Skywatch people are saying that these Vatican scientists are saying.
That's not what the Vatican scientists are saying. That's what fucking Zechariah Sitchin is saying.
They're saying, basically, the top astronomer at the Vatican seems to suggest that the biblical Nephilim could potentially be, quote, saviors from the stars.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, they take it further, and they suggest that perhaps the Virgin Mary was impregnated by an extraterrestrial, and that Jesus Christ was an alien-human hybrid.
Hey, it makes you think.
It really makes you think. They specifically refer to Jesus as maybe being a star child. And they even go so far, like you said, to suggest that other planets are seeded with life by an advanced ET race, and that they may have planted Christs on different planets. So like
that one's one of my fun. I've not dug into that theory yet, but the idea of different Jesuses across the cosmos is a thing that I've wanted to look into. So I'm happy that we're bringing it up.
Yeah, it's so honestly, I think the only other time that I've really heard that idea was when we were talking about the Urantia book, which was the like 1,100 page Bible fan fiction by the cult that did the Sleepy Time Bear tea. Which we did an episode on. I swear to God, everything I just said was true.
That was an actual sentence that will make sense when you listen.
But they have this like 1,100 page like Bible, which is like the original Bible, but like edited and added with like their own content about basically saviors on other planets that function like Christ. And what this seems to be doing is like trying to answer this question of like this is the most interesting part of this, because I think it's funny and a weird question.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about Christianity, you're talking about how God, in the form of a human, sacrificed himself and saved humanity, who is inherently sinful or whatever. does that sacrifice extend to alien beings? Is the question.
That is one of those things that once you like, that is such a thing that fucking you ask your youth pastor when you're 15. And I don't mean that as a negative. It's one of those great questions that everyone eventually thinks about. And I don't have the scholarly biblical answer for you. I think that it's a thing that there's probably actual scholastic papers written about that subject.
That's the thing. The Vatican guys, especially this guy that they're like, Skywatch is getting angry about this brother who runs the Vatican's observatory or whatever. They're like saying he's asking those kinds of questions and actually like writing what I think is like genuinely scholarly writing.
Good faith things.
Yeah, about those questions from a Catholic lens. And they're saying he's doing Zachariah Sitchin shit that's preparing us for the end times, and aliens are a part of the end times. So, like, what I'm getting at is we've talked about other conspiracies and new religious movements that suggest similar things, this idea of extending Christianity and its like core ideas to an intergalactic level with aliens. But here, what the main distinction is, like, most of those people are like, oh, this is a good thing, you know, the galaxy has a savior. These people seem to be saying that that the Vatican supposedly endorsing this is a bad thing, and that it's all part of an alien deception conspiracy, right? So
is it because is the deception that they're saying there's more than one Jesus and there's only one true Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? Or is it outside of that?
So,
like, do they have a problem with the multiple Christs?
I don't know whether it's a lot of specific things that they I mean, they do seem to have problems with like what this guy seems to be suggesting, even though like they're extrapolating things that I don't think he's actually saying.
Yeah.
But the whole catch of this is that this is basically warming humanity up for the alien-driven not communal, but like the alien-driven apocalypse, basically.
Okay.
So this is like, because the Vatican is putting out these messages of like, actually, aliens are like brothers to us.
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah, I get
and
it
they're
now.
also saved by Christ, and therefore they're actually good, probably. Like,
so the Vatican is trying to fake that aliens are good when in reality they're gonna
come in and
apocalypse the
fucking
world.
do all kinds. They're gonna do nasty shit to us, man. And like
They're gonna make you say swears.
they're gonna make you say
and
swears.
Say the Lord's name in vain.
They're gonna put you up in front of the Pope and make you say the worst slur you can think of.
Yeah. And the Pope's not gonna flinch because he's thinking it too. No.
No, because he's thinking. No,
I don't want to. I'm not going to get into the fucking. I don't know how it stands with like, you know, saying things about the Pope.
I don't. Dude,
it's a
I
joke.
don't fucking know. It's a joke. But look, that is, I think, the idea here. And so this is a worldwide false flag of intergalactic proportions being done by the Vatican. And there is so much more to get into.
I'm sure there is.
And we're going to have to do it in part 2.
I knew it.
I was dropping hints, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, like once you start talking about there being a 37-part thing, I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't a one episode.
And look, I'm having to distill it, you know? It's like 37 parts. I'm kind of trying to turn it into way less parts. Let's leave it at that.
I would fucking hope so. Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said, I mean, look, we established the bizarre sort of writing in these articles, so I'll get it shorter than 30 parts, you know.
Luckily, that you're not having to cover every paragraph in detail because some of them are filler.
Oh, yeah. It certainly seems that way. So, Niall, with all that, are you ready for a big question?
I'm sure I am.
Okay. So, if there are Jesus Christ variants across the galaxy, what type of Jesus Christ do you think would be the chase rare?
Okay. So we kind of have to think of like kind of ways to add value and rarity, and what would be, because like typically with like card chase stuff, you're dealing with holographics, you're dealing with like foiling, you're dealing with sometimes like cutouts or inset like pieces of a gear or like memorabilia type thing.
Yeah.
So like those are your basic like card ways to do it. But with aliens, I think with alien Jesuses, I think you might follow more the Pokemon methodology where you have like the shiny
different
version
colors,
and it's a different colorway. But I think we can incorporate some of the other stuff. So like what I think we're going to do is kind of mix the two of them. And I think you're going to get a different colorway of like skin, hair, eyes, all that kind of stuff that's unique to the rare variant. But then you're also going to get clothing with fun patterns.
Okay. Yeah.
That show it's a kind of higher
I like
rank
that.
and you've unlocked something special. So it's like kind of holographic moving patterns on their clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe like there's a Jesus on a planet who is like full entire time he's doing Jesus stuff.
Yeah.
He's decked out. He's doing Jesus stuff, you know. He's decked
Doing
out
the
in
things,
like
yeah.
a cowboy outfit. There's a cowboy variant
Yeah.
that's maybe a little rarer.
Yeah, you get the cowboy. There's also like the big head version, so you have like a really big cowboy hat on
exactly.
one of them.
I think
That's
probably
even rarer.
Probably one of the rarest Christs you could come across in the galaxy is one that's like translucent and has like flecks of like cool like colors in their body, but like then you can see through them and you can see like their organs and stuff, and maybe they got like green eyes.
Yeah. Kyle, I'm sure that would be a pretty good fucking variant, but I'm about to house all of these previous answers
All right.
with the actual true
Number one,
rarest number one version.
secret rare,
And
ultra rare.
That's the fucking secret rare of the autographed rookie Jesus. First printing, first time in the set. And it's autographed. So he's got a big tattoo of his own signature across his chest.
Okay.
And it's the first printing, so he's like kind of like a brand new one that no one else has. So it's unique to that at the time.
That'd be so sick.
New in the line. Yeah.
That would honestly be so sick.
Yeah. And you can hang out next to the Methuselah rookie card, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that is a very good. I really like that. And that would probably be, I think, the chase rare, right? Like the most valuable. But like as far as like personal Jesuses, my own personal Jesus.
Yeah. Sorry, I just imagined the comic shop blank variant Jesus, where it's just like no texture, just white.
You can
know?
just draw on,
and you can draw on him. Yeah, you can customize your own.
That would be honestly so sick.
Or the Virgin variant, I think, is what they call those sometimes.
No shit, they can't, dude.
Oh no,
that's
sorry.
like,
Virgin variant means that it's just the cover art without the title and blocking and stuff.
Oh, okay.
The
I
trade
see,
dress.
I see. So this would be Christ without the big subtitles that are always floating around him that says like Son of God.
Yeah. Without that "Here Comes Jesus" banner that floats above his head at most times.
Exactly. Here comes a special boy. Yeah, no, but for me, my own personal Jesus, I think the one that I would be after is Mech Pilot Jesus. He's got like thrusters and like a big fucking cannon that he like,
and he's got that like determined like sneer on his face, like he's really kind of grunting and he's about to do something really heavy, you know?
Yeah, he's got the like little like electrode. What are those things that like they put on you, like on your face and on your cheeks and on your chest, and lets you like connect to the mech or whatever. That would be the Jesus that I'm going after as my personal savior. Is
now
Mech
you're just
Pilot
imagining
Jesus.
You're making me imagine a youth pastor giving a sermon about if you're being drift compatible with Jesus and like that for sure happened somewhere.
A youth pastor in like the early 2000s, like turning his chair around and facing everybody and sitting down and leaning over the back of the chair and saying like, I think we can easily picture Jesus Christ in Gundam Seed.
Yeah. The original kaiju was the devil. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. This is maybe the best we've done it in a while.
All right. Look, sometimes it slips back into it, you know?
Oh, fuck. So, Niall, we're going to have a part 2.
Yeah.
I cannot stress how much bullshit there is in this story.
And I'm really excited for you to do all the reading and then explain it to me.
Of course. That's what I'm here for. With all that being said, would you like to do some business?
Yeah. So if you want to find us on social media, and in this day and age, who doesn't? You can follow us on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're probably there.
Twitch.tv/ItGetsWeird. I'm finally returning to streaming. Elden Ring is out, or I guess Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is out. I'm going to be playing that shit. Come check it out. Come hang out with fans of the show, and we can all chat about fucking finger maidens and plagioclase and all kinds of cool shit.
Okay. Fantastic.
Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. What would be the Jesus variant that you would like to see personally? I'm not talking about a chaser. I'm saying what intergalactic Jesus variant would you be like, oh, this isn't you open your pack, right? And you're like, this isn't the chaseware Jesus, so it's not as valuable, but I'm so stoked to see it because it's like the Jesus that I like the most. So give us that email.
Your oomphy Jesus.
Sure. That also, I just want to say, if we didn't read your email this week, because we actually got like a pretty good amount of emails recently, it'll come. Eventually we will read your email. So don't worry.
Practicing portion control. It will come out.
Exactly. Patreon.com/ItGetsWeird. We have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. At the $2 tier, you get access to It Gets Weird TV, where Niall and I are discussing weird television. Right now, we're in season 2 of The X-Files. We're getting into the home stretch of that show. And then people who are on the Patreon get to vote on what show we watch next. So whether we continue with The X-Files or we start something totally new, check it out at the $2 tier. We also have a $5 tier where there's another bonus show on the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Niall, sometimes it's a movie. We put all kinds of stuff up on that Patreon. There's a huge backlog of episodes as well. So check that out. Whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday, and you get access to the Discord where you can talk with us directly about all kinds of stuff. Lots of the time, it's talking about Bigfoot, who are the sexiest cryptids, things like that, things of that nature. We also have a $1 tier where you're just giving us a tip. You don't get anything out of it. You're just saying, hey, I like your show. Thanks for doing what you do. Here's $1. If you can't donate, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird Podcast. Oh, and tell your dig site.
Yeah, play it for your dig site. All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Niall.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.